What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the UFC 232 SB Nation MMA post-fight show brought to you by BloodyElbow.com and MMAmania.com. My name is Flying Brian J. Thank you so very much for being here. My co-host, as per usual, is the Zane Simon, and we're going to talk about a pretty darn good pay-per-view that capped off the 25th anniversary tour for the UFC in 2018. Zane, what did you think about the fight card overall?
Going into it, my feeling was it is kind of the perfect encapsulation of a UFC pay-per-view in that it looked great top to bottom, filled with awesome fights, and yet still managed to screw over fans and fighters in the process. And I would say it pretty much delivered on that, and they even sold it out. So, you know, while the Las Vegas fans may have ended up with some hard luck, the Los Angeles fans were served well by it. And I mean, you can't say anything bad about a fight card that had that co-main event and main event combo. I mean, Amanda Nunes knocking out Chris Cyborg in under a minute, Jon Jones just wiping the floor with Alexander Gustafsson after, you know, years following their back and forth all-time great close battle. It was as good a fight card as advertised, even with you know, the Latifi Anderson fight being and Megan Anderson toe poking Kat Zingano in the eye.
Yeah, that's definitely a front runner for what the fuck of the card. You mentioned that they sold out, even though switching venues. For 75% of the card, it did not feel like that venue was sold out. Like, probably up until the Corey Anderson versus Latifi fight,
yeah,
it was quiet in the arena. And ordinarily, the fans in Las Vegas, they show up super late because there's other things to do. You could gamble right up until the fight that you want to see. But I was like, what the hell? And
well, you know, it's Los Angeles. It's a celebrity town. They got some big celebrities out there. I mean, you know, you had like Halle Berry in the audience.
Dude Love, Cactus Jack, Mankind were all there.
And yes, and some pro wrestlers. I'm here focusing on Halle Berry. You're focusing on Mankind. We all have our priorities. But I'm just going off what I saw reported from other people, you know, who are at the venue. Other reports from the venue were that it was sold out, which...
Well, no, by the time Jon Jones walked out, it was definitely full.
Yeah, so, you know, and I think probably even though the UFC says, oh, we lost $6 million on this and all that, I bet they're going to walk away feeling like this was a huge win for them. Honestly, I'd be surprised if this didn't do great numbers sales-wise. It had... You know, Cyborg is kind of, even with Nunes not being any kind of draw, Cyborg had kind of established herself as a mid-level pay-per-view draw before this fight. Jones is one of their biggest draws. I gotta imagine the two of them together on a card did well. And it seemed like it was just kind of situated at just the right time for, you know, everybody's home and they're looking for stuff to do. They've got time off. A lot of people have extra money to spend after the holidays from gifts and stuff like that. And I wouldn't be shocked if this pay-per-view did somewhere up in the like 800,000 buys range.
Holy shit, that sure would be something. I mean, the metric for my live play-by-play that I did during the main card portion seemed to do pretty well, and that's how I gauge things, is off of my stuff. The UFC delivered on everything that we expected them to for this event, except they didn't reveal the new belts.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. I've been out traveling, doing other stuff, so I forgot entirely that they made new belts. That's exactly the kind of thing I feel like I don't have to care about.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of strange because they put out a few tweets. It was like a small video said today or yesterday now that they were actually, they didn't say anything. They just said, here's a belt. It doesn't look like our usual belt, this date. And I didn't see any new belts. All we got was old champions.
Maybe they got wet and started to disintegrate. The UFC's looking for more places to cost cut for the new year heading into 2019, make those revenue goals.
Yeah, gave Amanda Nunes a green ring around her belly.
That's right.
So you already talked a little bit about it, but Jon Jones wiped the floor with Alexander Gustafsson in the main event. It wasn't close, really, ever. I did check the the first round to see the stats. I'm like, God, it felt like John handily won, but I just had to double check. He clearly won. As soon as he got the fight to the mat in the third round, it was, elementary at that point. Just crushed him. In the post-fight interview, John said that there's a guy out there masquerading as the double champ. So he called out Daniel Cormier, but what was surprising to me is that he was kind of humble about it. He wasn't crude or rude or mean.
I guess. I mean, it was humility for John Jones. He didn't actively track Daniel Cormier down and piss on him. There's, it was still kind of, just a you're a coward, come fight me call out.
Sort of, but like in his tweets and in stuff leading up to fights, he would say those exact words.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just I was kind of surprised by that. John always gets me with he's a douchebag in the lead up to fights, and I kind of hate him. And then in the post fight, I'm like, he's not that bad.
Well, he's a thrilling fighter, and anytime you're a thrilling talent, anytime you're a thrilling athlete, you're always gonna end up getting a break, even from people who know better. They're gonna watch you do something amazing, and they're just gonna be like, I guess I gotta respect him,
Yeah, and they, the stats when he's walking to the cage and they say, oh, he's won 14 fights in a row. No, the guy has won every fight in a row.
Yeah.
Can we just turn his Matt Hamill loss into a win so we can stop talking about the win streak that he's on after losing to Matt Hamill?
Yeah, I mean, we just can all know better. I mean, it's one of those things where it was like Anderson Silva in the middle of his great run, and people talking about, oh, Yushin Okami has a win over him, and you go back and watch it, and you see Anderson Silva club Okami in the side of the head with his heel while laying on his back and get DQ'd, and you're like, yeah, not really that much of a win.
Yeah, or Anderson Silva's title defense record doesn't include Travis Lutter because Lutter missed weight.
Sure.
It's still a title fight for Andy, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you think is next for John Jones? He said Daniel Cormier, but at 205 pounds is what he called out. And Joe Rogan said, hey, man, let's do it at heavyweight. What do you say? And John basically didn't acknowledge it. The only fight out there for him at 205 might be Anthony Smith, I guess.
If I'm Daniel Cormier, I still don't take that John Jones fight, and I sure as hell don't take it at 205. I think that's one of those things the UFC is going to try like hell to press it and try to make that fight. And maybe Cormier will get pulled in. I mean, he's a hard competitor. He wants, I'm sure in his soul he wants to win that fight and get that win back. But Jones has not only beaten him, but failed drug tests twice surrounding that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, do you just say, what the risk of me getting humiliated again, and then not only that, but then finding out he failed another drug test, him fucking something else over to just make it so that it doesn't even feel like anybody won. I just lost. That's the only thing I got out of this.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you put yourself through that for Jones? I don't see any real upside for him in that fight other than the potential that maybe it makes more money than a Brock Lesnar fight. Maybe.
I don't even think it would.
Yeah. So why not take on the big name you can probably win, and that's something new for you, instead of chasing some guy that probably beats you again and then will just lord it over you until he fucks it up. That just...
Well, yeah, John Jones is known for fucking things up, and I'm sorry, John Jones fans, for what I'm about to say, but I feel like his win over Gustafsson's probably going to be turned into a no contest before is all said and done. He has the controversy coming into the fight, having to move the venue. The first time he was tested by VADA was yesterday, and we don't even know the result yet, right?
I mean, I would say the only likely way... Okay, well, it's John Jones. He could easily fail another drug test, and this could all be overturned. I'm not saying that can't happen. I would be less surprised if Gustafsson contested the result, or if the commission decided to overturn it on their own purely because of all the stuff of like, oh, we didn't know about all these other previous tests that you supposedly didn't pass and you didn't tell us about before we licensed you.
But
that would be more, that would be less, that would be to me the most likely way of seeing it get overturned. But I would be pretty shocked if Jones failed a drug test right now to overturn this fight.
that would not surprise me at all.
Well, okay.
Nate Diaz gif.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me in that he's capable of doing that. I know he's capable of doing that, but it would still be like, I'm not expecting it. I'm not going to count that chicken.
So something that was unexpected, Amanda Nunes finishing Cyborg right away. Like the first left hand that Nunes was, first of all, it was a low kick that stumbled Cyborg, and then like the first left hand hurt Cyborg, and then it was like every John Lineker hook style punch after that landed, and she finished her immediately. How surprising was that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess on the one hand, if I were going to pick a way for Nunes to win, it would be to just absolutely crush Cyborg right out of the gate with some shocking speed. So the way she won isn't shocking, but this win is shocking. It is a complete surprise that Amanda Nunes went out and won like that. I know there are going to be a bunch of people who are like, oh, I called it. I knew Nunes could win this fight months out, years out, days out, whatever. And it's just like, nah, you got to understand that Cyborg has been absolutely unbeatable for her entire MMA career. She has been a juggernaut force, and Nunes winning is huge. Like, this is bigger. This is a much more impressive win than beating Ronda Rousey when she beat Ronda Rousey. This is a more impressive win than beating Shevchenko, especially the way she beat Shevchenko each time. Mm-hmm. This is unquestionably the greatest thing that Amanda Nunes has done in her MMA career to date. And to just be like, I knew it. I saw it coming. Nah, you got to give her credit. This is seriously overcoming some odds.
And, well, she said that she knew exactly how the fight was going to go down coming in. I know it's easy to say post-fight, but she said the plan, and, that's how it happened. It was surprising to me that she won. What sucked, it was great, but what sucks is that she might have killed the featherweight division. Actually, that wouldn't suck.
Yeah, that wouldn't suck. That's fine. I mean, I'd feel a little bad for the one fighter that's there outside Cyborg, because Cyborg is probably... I think this might have been the last fight on her UFC contract, and she's talked about going off and doing boxing and stuff like that. So she might already be gone. So it sucks for Megan Anderson, but literally the woman who just won the featherweight season of Tough just announced her drop to bantamweight already. And so now you have Megan Anderson and then a bunch of women who have fought the most of their career at bantamweight.
Yeah, the division should probably be dissolved. But so Amanda Nunes, she now has wins over Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Cyborg Justino. Do you think that she is the female GOAT, and what do you think might be next for her?
Well,
the female divisions are so young, it's hard to say something like that right away, now. Well, the female divisions are so young, it's hard to say that there's a GOAT at this point.
Well, I mean, the thing is that she, and if you're going off resume of just dominance, then she and Cyborg and Rousey have to be in some kind of tie. And they all had different paths to do it. They all had different styles to do it. They all got there in different ways. But the only reason that Nunes would be there is for her wins over those two fighters. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, her resume is not bad, but it's not anything like the dominance that either of those women showed. It's kind of like saying, is Stipe Miocic the greatest heavyweight of all time over Fedor or something, where like you have this huge run of dominance for Fedor where he absolutely owned a division, but Stipe had the best UFC run in a moment, where he was able to defend the belt the most times and put together a great resume there. And, or, Daniel Cormier. Say Daniel Cormier. It's like, she's her moment. The best moments of her career are better than the best moments of Rousey's career or of Cyborg's career because they're both wins over Cyborg and over Rousey. Whether you want to take that as the encapsulation of her career as a whole, I think that's more difficult to say.
Do you think that she finally gets the rub off of Cyborg? So after she beat Ronda Rousey, she didn't get the popularity, or she didn't get any fans from beating Ronda. You mentioned that Cyborg came in with a lot of fans and being a pay-per-view draw on her own. Do you think that Cyborg gets any of those fans?
Or Nunez?
Nunez. Do you think she gets any of Cyborg's fans?
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen now. This is, you're the co-main event to a bigger star in John Jones. You've got more eyes on you than at any point outside that Rousey fight. And Rousey, at that point, people kind of they'd just seen Rousey lose that same way. So when it happened the same time, people were more like, "Oh, Rousey's done," rather than, "Oh my God, Nunez is amazing." But this is a legit, "Oh my God, Nunez is amazing. I can't believe she did that. She stopped Cyborg in the prime of her career." And she did it when more, as many people are watching as possible. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. At the very least, she could be a mid-level draw, but it'll also matter who they can get her to fight next. Who is going to fight her next? Because if you put her against Raquel Pennington, it's like if Gustafsson had won the light heavyweight title and then they matched him up against Anthony Smith on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd get like 200,000. The hardcore fans.
Nunez Pennington was like 95,000 buys. So her floor is lower than Demetrius Johnson.
That's not ideal. And a potential opponent for her could be Megan Anderson.
Probably finding a way to build up a Holly Holm fight would be the thing to do.
There you go. Setting you up for that article you're going to do tomorrow. Let's talk about your WTF of the card. Does it involve Megan Anderson, or you got something else?
It probably involves Megan Anderson. I don't really understand what, I don't know that that's necessarily a WTF. Actually, no, it doesn't involve her. Never mind. There's no need for that. It's BJ Penn getting out there as a FS1 prelim opener and having to fight Ryan Hall, and then having to listen to all these people be like, man, if this is a grappling match, Ryan Hall's sport jiu-jitsu isn't like MMA jiu-jitsu. BJ Penn can still go out there. If people don't think that BJ Penn can't roll with Ryan Hall and, submit him or at least hang with him, then and then you watch Hall go out and knee bar him in a half a round. And so having to listen to everybody be delusional over a guy who I love BJ Penn. I love watching him fight, but he hasn't won a fight in almost a decade. That was definitely your WTF of the card.
Yeah, BJ Penn basically has one win since I graduated high school.
And that was over an already over-the-hill Matt Hughes.
Yeah, he's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. Do you think does he have any more fights on his contract?
I don't know.
Finally get rid of him?
Penn's kind of one of those dudes that I think the UFC would keep around as long as he wants to be around, just because he was such a big champion for them at one point. But this might not be the worst loss of his career. That one against
Dennis Seaver.
Dennis Seaver was pretty sad, but we're getting to the point that at least the one against Seaver was still kind of a high-profile fight. It was still, people felt like he could win that fight, and I don't know. It didn't feel quite as sad. This feels like he's way down on the prelims. He's not fighting for anything. He's not fighting anybody, and it just hurts.
Yeah. So what the fuck for making us go through the pre-fight hype for the BJ Penn fight? That makes sense.
Yeah. For any lasting, just why are we watching this? And people being like, no, it's BJ Penn, and fighters don't get old, and nothing ever changes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I am giving my WTF of the card to the Megan Anderson Cat Zingano finish, just because I've never seen a finish like that. A toe in the eye resulted in a TKO victory. It was probably like the only strike landed almost, And
pretty much.
fight over. What the fuck? At first, I'm like, okay, so it's an eye poke. Maybe it should be a no contest. But then, of course, Big John McCarthy said it was a legally thrown weapon. It happened to land there. It's TKO. Just like, strange.
I have had people come to me all night with that, like, oh, it's an eye poke, an eye poke's an eye poke. No, look, you can't gouge someone anywhere with your finger. You're not allowed to poke anybody in any part of their body with your finger. That's like, that's a.
But if a knuckle did it, it's fine.
What?
If a knuckle did the same exact thing, it'd be fine.
Yeah, if a knuckle does the same thing, it's fine, because a knuckle, like a fist, is a legal weapon. Your whole foot is a legal weapon. There's no part of your foot that can't poke somebody. You know.
And besides, you can't manipulate your toes as
exactly. It's man. Megan Anderson doesn't have like monkey feet. She's not going out there and like aiming the toe at the eye, and
there'd be some fucking crazy precision.
Yeah, it's totally unreasonable. You might as well ban any punches to anywhere then, if you're just going to be like, no, they might do harm.
Shut the
to
sport
a body
down.
Part.
Shut the sport down.
Yep.
It was still super fucking weird, and it was
still weird. The refs made the right call, but yeah, it's just one of those really freak injuries that shit. It's like when Vitor Belfort cut Randy Couture's eye open with his glove, where like the punch missed, but the glove nicked the eyelid and cut it open, and Vitor Belfort, light heavyweight champ.
Have you heard about an update on Kat Zingano? How's her eye doing?
I haven't seen anything on that yet, but I'm sure it'll be coming out in the next few hours.
Yeah, I was just super busy during that. Didn't have time to check up on her. I hope it's fine, because from the moment the toe hit her eye, she had her eyes closed. I don't know why she even stayed in the cage while they raised Megan Anderson's hand, but she stood against the fence, like crying, super scared for her eye. And I hope that it's fine, because that would be pretty damn awful. But anyway, I can let you get out of here, Zane. I know it's super late your time. Tell the people about your stuff.
All right, thanks. You can find me on Twitter at TheZaneSimon. You can find me over at BloodyElbow.com, day in, day out, writing all that stuff. I'll be back with the 6th round on... Actually, I'm not sure if it's dropping Sunday or Monday. So we'll have the 6th round for UFC 232. That's me and Dane Fox over at Bloody Elbow. And I'll be back with the Depressed Us, the MMA Depressed Us, for the next couple of weeks, heading into UFC on ESPN +1, Dillashaw versus Cejudo. So we'll be building up to that. Then we'll have the vivisection for that, and we'll have all our normal shows. So thanks everyone for tuning in. You can find us over at Bloody Elbow Presents, and subscribe to our channels on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you want to find us. Thanks, dude.
Thanks for hanging out, Zane. So I'm going to recap the rest of the card in a timely manner, the best that I can. Mishmash says, who are these dudes rambling on about nonsense? Can't got a freaking eye poked out with a toenail, so yeah. She couldn't fight, obviously. With the help from Gummy Bear Retainer? I don't know. Anyway, Mishmash, my name is Flying Brian J. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about the third fight on the main card portion, where Michael the Maverick Chiesa submitted Carlos the Natural Born Killer Condit with a one-armed Kimura in round number 2. GoPre518 says Nate versus Chiesa next. Not the same weight class. I think if Diaz comes back, he's going to be at 155 pounds. Probably a third fight with the notorious Conor McGregor, or perhaps a lightweight bout with Dustin Poirier, which was previously scheduled. But Chiesa called out Neil Magny after the submission victory over Carlos Condit. Rob Amon is always here with the axe, going to get rid of people who no longer deserve to be on the UFC's roster. Maybe they're on skids, maybe their fights are boring. But he says Condit should be cut from the roster, or better yet, retire. Better yet, retire is right. Ever since Condit lost to Robbie Lawler in January of 2016, he's been talking about retirement. Then he got rear naked choked by Damian Maia, again talked about retirement. And he has lost 5 fights in a row, 3 of them via submission. The guy just cannot stop takedowns. We had Michael Chiesa move up a weight class, got a body lock a couple of times on Condit, inside, excuse me, whoops, inside trip, got Condit to the ground. Condit did a good job defending, hit a armbar attempt that got Condit or that got Chiesa to get off of him from top position, but then Chiesa just got him right back down with another body lock, pick him up, put him down, or just drag him down with a body lock. When it finally happened, Chiesa dragged Condit to the ground and then snagged up the Kimura, but then finished it with the one hand. He had it 2-on-1, pulled it behind the back, and then just kept holding onto it with the left hand and pressed on Condit's hip with his right hand so that Condit couldn't move his hips closer to the Kimura and, of course, force the tap. Big comeback for Michael Chiesa because Chiesa had lost 2 in a row to Kevin Lee and Anthony Pettis. He said he had a huge weight cut problem, but he also said that no matter what weight class he's at, he's one of the best in the world. He said he came into this fight, beat a top 15 welterweight, and he deserves some big competition. So Neil Magny recently lost to Santiago Genchaboa, and Chiesa wants that. I'm fine with it because, like GoPre says, Chiesa is better mentally and physically at 170 pounds. These guys, I'm all for it because I like people like Robert Whittaker, Kelvin Gastelum. Stop cutting so much fucking weight. Anthony Lionheart-Smith. Stop cutting so much weight. Move up a weight class, and you see them have success. Mishmash said Anthony Smith inspired Chiesa to move up. But before that fight, we had Corey Anderson versus Ilir Latifi. It wasn't the best. In the first round, Latifi was hitting Corey Anderson with some pretty good left hooks and some overhand rights that hurt Corey Anderson. But Anderson was able to recover pretty quickly and actually finally looked like he had some durability, did Corey Anderson. And he started to get the better of Latifi with volume. Latifi tired out really fast. The jab from Anderson was doing a lot of good work. The lateral movement. The takedowns, even if he wasn't getting them on Latifi, it was forcing Latifi to exert energy in defensive grappling. So Anderson kind of wore him out in that sense. Hit him with some pretty good high kicks and some good kicks to the body, did Anderson on Latifi. In the post-fight, after Anderson won via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board, Anderson called out Anthony Lionheart-Smith. That could be a fight that you'd make depending on what happens with John Jones. I think if John stays at 205 pounds, doesn't fight Daniel Cormier, I think the next fight for John is Anthony Smith. And Anthony Smith's from my area, and I never thought that he'd be in a title shot opportunity, but he can't do worse than fucking Gustafsson did in there against John Jones tonight. And John even said in his post-fight interview that his team is the best at game planning in the world, especially when you give him a rematch. So, yeah. I'm going to move this over here and that over there. The first fight on the main card portion, Alexander Volkanovski defeated Chad Money Mendez with TKO punches in round number 2. The finishing sequence was Volkanovski ripping a left hook to Mendez's body and then a short right on the temple of Mendez after that sat Mendez down. Kind of a bowling uppercut on Mendez after that for Volkanovski closed the show. The entire fight, Volkanovski was getting the better of the striking. Other than the beginning of the second round where Mendez hit a couple of what I like to call John Lineker hooks on Volkanovski, you know, the double hook thing. John Lineker he's the easiest to see them with him. Mendez did hurt Volkanovski in that second round, kind of dropped him. But Volkanovski said that it wasn't like he wasn't hurt or dazed. It just kind of took away his vision for a second. I believe him. Whatever. Volkanovski got taken down a couple of times by Mendez, but popped right back to his feet, was able to sit up and scoot himself toward the fence to get back up. And Volkanovski was hitting Mendez with longer strikes, actually seemed like harder strikes, and a more variety of strikes. So once Mendez had Volkanovski hurt in that second stanza, it seemed like once Volkanovski got his composure back, it like fucking made him mad, and he just started to pour it on Mendez. Hurt him a couple of times, and then, of course, he got that finish. In the post-fight interview, Volkanovski called out the featherweight champion and recent title defender, Max Blessed Holloway, and I said coming into this fight that the winner would set themselves up for a title shot against Max. Volkanovski called for it, and I think that should be what is next. I mean, Chad Mendez is a former title challenger. He'd only lost to guys like Edgar, Conor McGregor, and Jose Aldo, and Volkanovski finished this dude in the second round. I think that's definitely what's next for Volkanovski. GoPray says, R.I.P. Brian Cullen. I don't know what that means, man. The Godfather. Maybe John wasn't lying when he said he was on coke and not training before Gus fight 1. I don't think he was lying at all. I think that's definitely true. You listen to people who like are around the scene in Albuquerque, and you get the sense that John was definitely partying a lot in the lead up to his Gustafsson fight. And plus, Gustafsson has not progressed or gotten better since that first fight. He hasn't changed his game. He hasn't put in new wrinkles or anything. He's the same fighter he was in that first John Jones fight. And so John has had 5 years to think about Gustafsson, and John has been adding new wrinkles to his game. And he mentioned in the post-fight interview that he knew what he did wrong in the first Gustafsson fight, and he didn't do that here. Gus didn't land very many strikes, and John was aware of that. But let's talk about Peter Yan versus Douglas Silva de Andrade. A possible WTF of the card in a positive sense was Douglas Silva de Andrade's corner throwing in the towel after the second round of a round that I scored 10-8 in favor of Peter Yan. Peter Yan got Silva down, cut him with an elbow in the top position, rained down a lot of ground and pound. Silva started to slow his pace, and Peter Yan just was unloading on him. So what the fuck? Congratulations for the corner for actually throwing in the towel in mixed martial arts in 2018. That was definitely necessary. Peter Yan, 25 years old, has looked fucking phenomenal in his UFC appearances. He beat Teruto Ishihara in his UFC debut in the first round, then Jinsu Sun via decision in a really fun fight, which was fight of the night. And then this TKO corner stoppage over Douglas Silva de Andrade. The best part about the fight, perhaps, was that Douglas Silva de Andrade, was that Peter Yan called for a fight against Hands of Stone, John Lineker. My goodness, that would be an absolute phenomenal fight. I love violence. I love John Lineker. Peter Yan is quickly becoming a guy, and that was really, really exciting. Moving down in the card, we already talked about Ryan Hall with his heel hook submission over BJ Penn. Not much to say there. They circled. Ryan Hall went for like an Imanari roll, like just kind of rolled to his back to grab the leg of BJ Penn. He did it twice. On the second time, he got the heel, and BJ Penn basically insta-tapped and screamed a little bit. Rob Amon says Lineker is booked, but he is booked. Who is he booked against? Somebody really fun, too. Oh. He was booked against Dom Cruz. Lineker was booked against Dom Cruz, but then Dom got hurt again. So he'll be out for a while. Ryan Hall got that submission over BJ Penn. Nathaniel Wood defeated Andre Ewell, submission rear naked choke, round number 3. That fight was not very exciting. They both hurt each other in the first round, but then second and third round, Wood decided that he could out-grapple Ewell, and he did so. The second round, he just controlled Ewell, just kept him in his guard, just stayed in the guard, didn't do a whole lot. Third round, Ewell gave up his back, kind of like Derek Lewis does, where he turned Peter down to get on tabletop position to get back to your feet. Wood took the back, rear naked choke. Before that, Uriah Hall was getting beat pretty handily by Bevan Lewis. Bevan Lewis came out guns a-blazing, had Uriah Hall on the ropes early, hit him with everything, including the kitchen sink. Kind of looked like John Jones out there, the oblique kicks to the thigh, round high kicks, the right straights, got Hall up against the fence, plumb clinched knees to the body, stepping in, slashing elbow on Uriah Hall, but Hall stayed the course, kept his composure, waited for Bevan Lewis to get tired late in the second round, and then in the third round. And in the third round, Uriah Hall uncorked a wide right hook that caught Bevan Lewis square and sent him careening to the canvas in a fetal position. Uriah Hall is nothing if not inconsistent. But when he finishes fights, he's one of the most exciting fighters on the planet. He's like a less talented, less physically imposing Yoel Romero. Also, he loses more handily. But what I'm saying here is that Yoel Romero has the potential to finish the fight at any moment. And he does so sometimes after losing for a while. And that's what Uriah Hall's last 3 victories are. Gegard Mousasi, Krzysztof Jotko, and now Bevin Lewis. He was losing right up until he won. Bam. I don't know if he's going to continue in the sport for too much longer, but I like watching the guy. And in his post-fight interview, he showed a lot of respect for Bevin Lewis, said that Bevin has a bevy of attacks in his arsenal. He's a very well-rounded mixed martial artist with a lot of potential because Bevin is a young guy on the come-up. But also, Hall said he gave a little speech about depression. He said his sister is dealing with depression. He told his sister that the world would not be the same without her. The world needs her. Nobody in the world is as good at what she does as her, and that people love her, and that she's going to get through this depression. And that was a touching moment. I really appreciate Uriah Hall for saying that. I've gone through some depression. I know people who have gone through depression, and in 2018, we've seen a lot of people decide that they don't want to live anymore after failing with a bout of depression. So, Jack Hucknall. Uriah Hall's speech was touching, and John Jones is on steroids. Hilarious. Okay, before that, Curtis Millender versus CR, the great Bahadurzada. Millender he had the more tools in his arsenal. He was hitting Bahadurzada with leg kicks a lot in the first round. He kind of got away from it in the second round, then brought him back in the third. But also high kicks, spinning heels to the head. Millender also had the longer, straighter punches with his jab and his straight. But Bahadurzada, his overhand right hurt Millender on a few occasions. Not hurt him, but it's like stung him and seemed to have like a lot of pop behind it. But Millender almost finished Bahadurzada in the third round. I forget which strike started it off. But anyway, it was a display of a lot of heart that Bahadurzada had to take Millender down while he was hurt, control him on the ground for a large portion of time, and regained his composure, and then made it to the judges. It was a really fun fight. I think it was probably Volkanovski versus Mendes might end up winning fight of the night, but Millender versus Bahadurzada was really, really fucking fun. And the curtain jerker of the entire night was Montel Jackson submitting Brian Kelleher with a Darce choke in the first round. Jackson outclassed Kelleher, basically. Hit him with a short elbow to the side of the head that hurt Kelleher, sent him to the floor. I thought the fight was going to be stopped with some ground and pound. It wasn't. Jackson sunk in the Darce choke, and that was that. Jackson was really, really humble in the post-fight interview. He missed weight by 1 pound, and Joe Rogan was like, hey, man, how the fuck does it feel to have that amazing performance? And Jackson was like, it actually doesn't feel that good. I missed weight. I wasn't professional, yada, yada. And Brian Kelleher said that he was going to give Montel Jackson the 20% of his purse back because, of course, Jackson was fined 20% for not making weight. Kelleher said, Jackson, you've got a family, man, and I'm going to give you that 20% back. And that's the entire card. Guys, I need to know what your post-fight bonuses are for this entire night of fights. Who would you give an extra $50,000? Keep in mind, Rob, Ninja, Jack, Devin Bishop, Mishmash even. On this show, we're not actually giving anybody any money at all. So, we're going to give out 5 post-fight bonuses. 2 of them count as fight of the night, if you're going to give a fight of the night. And the other 3 are performance bonuses, if that's the route you choose to take. While you guys tell me what your post-fight bonuses are, I'm going to look up and see what the real ones were. Okay, are you ready for the real post-fight bonuses? No, you're not. Rob Avon says KO of the night goes to Nunes. Like it, okay. I'm going to give mine. I read the real ones, but I'm going to give mine. I'm going to give fight of the night to Curtis Millender and CR Bahadurzada. I'm going to give fight of the night to Alexander Volkanovski and Chad Mendes. So there's 4 from me. And I'm going to give $50,000 to Amanda Nunes. Devin Bishop also says Nunes is the KO of the night. Rob Amon Fight of the night to Volkanovski, Mendez. And Mishmash says, dumb question. Nunes gets the... And Rob Amon says, submission of the night goes to Chiesa. Jack Hucknall says, Nunes gets performance bonus. Ooh, Uriah Hall versus Bevan Lewis, fight of the night. Nathaniel Wood, performance bonus. And Volkanovski, performance bonus. The real ones were, my friends, fight of the night went to Mendez Volkanovski. Performance bonuses went to Amanda Nunes and Uriah Primetime Hall. I'm going to cut the show off now. I'm going to go and just do some late night tweeting after I watch the post-fight press conference over on my personal Twitter channel or Twitter account at FlyingBrianJ. Please follow me over there. I would appreciate it. You can also subscribe to my personal iTunes or SoundCloud or podcast feed wherever you get it. Search for Flying Brian Show, and I'll be back here. Gosh, the next fight card isn't until January 19th. UFC Fight Night 143, also known as UFC on ESPN Plus. Henry the Messenger Cejudo versus TJ Killashah Dillashaw in the main event of the evening. Co-main event is Alan Crowder about to get fucking smashed by controversial Greg Hardy. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, Rob Amon says, enjoy being a dad in 29. I am going to be a dad in just a couple of months. Actually, less than 2 months. Holy shit. Wow, I'm really excited. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Please thumb the video up. I need them. We got a shitload of thumbs down. I need you guys to thumb me up so I can have a good ratio, and the bosses won't fire me. I'll see you next time for UFC on ESPN Plus 1. Namaste. Love you guys. Happy New Year. Be safe on New Year's. Have a lot of fun, but be safe. Don't drive if you've been drinking. I appreciate you, and I need you to be back here so we can have conversations about mixed martial arts in the future. You are necessary to my life. Later, guys.